Cobb TV. Watch your life make sense.
Hello everyone, welcome to Ask the Kabbalist. Thank you for joining us. With me as always, Kabbalist Dr. Laitman. Hello Dr. Laitman.
Hello.
Today we'll be answering all of the questions that we received as always, and you can send more questions. Just go to tv.kabbalah.info. Right there on our Ask the Kabbalist page, you can submit video questions or audio questions or text questions. Let's begin with the first question right away. This one is coming from Alan from Arkansas. It's a text question, and he's saying this. Recently, close to where I live, there was an unexplained phenomenon of dead birds falling from the sky. Apparently, similar phenomena have happened all around the globe, including sea animals that appeared dead on shore. The news said that scientists are baffled, conspiracy theorists are talking about the end of the world, but no one really knows what's the cause of this. Do you have an explanation? And could these really be signs of the end of the world?
No, I wouldn't talk about the end of the world. I wouldn't even use those words. We have to be responsible for what we say, since most people who aren't close to science and such things doesn't have the ability to deal with such things, can be influenced by it, can be brought out of balance. And today, in general, the world is in a very, very delicate situation, in a very subtle state, and that is why I don't think that we should use such words that every phenomenon is leading to the end of the world. No, of course not. However, we are in a state of imbalance. We've entered a certain conflict with nature, and instead of correcting ourselves and trying to take a few steps towards the human society, the global integral society, in mutuality, in connection, as we see the world is moving towards. In accordance, we have to change. And if these changes won't come along, then of course there will be such phenomena like those dying birds that was on the level of animate. There will be such things on the degree of the vegetative and on the degree of human beings. We will see such situations. The question is, to what extent will they be revealed as blows towards us that will feel we have no choice? We have to understand what is going on here, that it's actually nature bringing us proof, bringing us results, from us causing that state, that imbalance, and that is as a result of us being imbalanced in the human society. And when we will begin to connect in a tighter, in a more reciprocal manner, taking others into consideration, then we'll feel all of humanity as one family, like general nature. And then of course all these unpleasant phenomena will disappear.
You said that we entered a conflict with nature. What is that conflict?
This conflict is that nature, from the last few decades, is beginning to behave and it's beginning to be revealed to us as a general global system that previously it wasn't really felt. But now we're in this transition from discovering all of nature as one single global integral system, that all of its parts are tied to one another. That's on the one hand, and on the other hand, The human beings are violating this law. They're completely opposite from it and working out of oppositeness. The ego is constantly growing, and the human being doesn't want to take anything into consideration. Like now there are these financial pyramids and many such examples of total lack of consideration with others, and it's done aggressively and in an unjust manner. They don't even need those billions. They just turn into numbers, into zeros that they profit, and many such more examples. And all of this is a sign that we're sick. Human society is ill. We don't understand that we're tied to one another, we're mutually linked, and we're governed by nature in such a way. But we ourselves are incapable of determining the correct behavior between one another. That's on our behalf, where we have to add our behavior on the human level. And each time we build these egoistic systems, armory in the world, and resistance, collisions, divisions of all different kinds of segments, we're coming to a state that instead of somehow uniting, somehow becoming like nature, because we have to enter it, we have to be part of nature, just like in Noah's Ark. We have to all be together. But instead, we're constantly in the opposite state. It can't keep on going like that for much longer. We're going to reach very serious blows, turbulences, and all these climate signals. That is still on the degrees which seem far to us. We don't really yet feel
it's hard
we
to
can
see
still
the
deal
connection,
with
though,
it.
because the intensified egoism in human society is something that, as you're saying it, I believe everyone can see that. It's easy to identify with that. But this phenomenon is so many different types of animals dying suddenly without any reason all across the globe. How is that connected to the intensified human egoism that you're talking about?
Since all of the matter of creation, all of it, is different levels of the development of the egoistic desire, the desire to receive. If it's a small desire, then it's realized as still. If it's a greater desire that it wants to absorb what's good for it, emit what harms it, then it's already vegetative. If it's an even greater desire, then it already is in movement, and it duplicates itself. That's similar to the animate level. And if it's an even larger will to receive, then in addition to the animate, it's also reaches the speaking level, the human society. And all of these levels are still in nature. Nature itself brings all of these levels to develop, to multiply, until a certain amount. And we've seen that we've developed to a certain extent by our egoistic drive. And from a certain level, say 50 years ago, we have started recognizing that we're not individuals, we're not single, we're not separated from one another. The world is starting to close. Whether we like it or not, the human society, the entire world actually is starting to show us that it's a closed system, it's all one, it's all connected, linked, still, vegetative, animate and speaking, and in the still, in the vegetative, in the animate, and in the speaking, it's all as one unit, as one sphere, as one integral sphere. And we, on the human being level, in the human society, we are not coming closer even to understanding, to thinking that in our ego, in our remoteness, in our collision, in this conflict of ours, we're violating this law, this integrality, and we're going to have to pay up if we won't change ourselves. And we can already see, and there are many such research, and many speak about it already, but there isn't yet awareness to it in the wide audience.
Yeah, I think awareness, is the key here, because what you're saying now is not obvious to people. That you just explained that the whole of nature is levels of desire, they're all connected, and we're connected through the connections between us. We're also affecting the animal and the vegetative level and the still level. This is something I think that is missing.
Man is part of this world. It's part of the world, and we therefore need to see ourselves as part of this entire system. Hence, we need to explain to the whole world that in the relations between us, in the relations between the still, the vegetative and animate, we always have to take into account the general, global, integral system, this analog system, that in it, in this entire system, everything is connected. And it's in relation to everything, anything we produce, if we produce food in the field or in the sea, everywhere, no matter what we do, we have to know how we can do it in order to leave nature in its state of balance. If we cut down trees, if we dry up different lands, we always have to research and examine if we're doing it against nature or not, since everything is in balance, has to be in balance. Now, people in the world are beginning to be aware of it, but it's still, there isn't no global
What's
view
missing
of this.
in the vision?
That we are connected to one another. If I'm in my garden, in my backyard, if I do something, and you're my neighbor, let's say I plant a tree, and the roots of the tree climb under the fence and reach your garden, let's say they ruin the foundations of your home. So am I to blame or not? I can say, no, what do I care? I'm planting a tree in my backyard. What do I care? I'm not connected to that. That's nature, right? So am I okay here or not? We have to take everything into consideration. If not from today, then tomorrow we'll reach a state that it bothers you, it doesn't bother me, and we'll enter these confrontations. And it's the same with everything. Today, no one takes another into consideration, no one takes nature into consideration. If I don't bother you, then I can do whatever I want and you can do whatever you want. But in the meanwhile, we're harming the general system, the system of nature. That's the home where we live in, this entire sphere that we live in. And we don't feel to what extent we're coming very close to annihilation of ourselves.
So this is what we're doing, how we're hurting the general system, is what reflects as those appearances that we're seeing?
Yes, yes. And most importantly, that's a problem to explain. We can't explain to the people that we are all harming the human level. The human level is our relationships to one another, how we treat each other, how we think of the others, how we're in competition instead of being in concern. This law of love thy friend as thyself that comes to us from ancient times is a law of nature, that we must be in relationships between us, just like all the rest of the parts of nature.
Well, usually you hear this coming from some religious leaders saying love thy friend as thyself, or ethical philosophers.
No, it's not just pretty words, it's a law of nature. It's a law, and now it's being revealed in a very realistic manner. And if we won't advance towards this law even slightly, then we might come across trouble. Trouble on behalf of nature. Only now, in the meanwhile, here we have fires, or here we have snows, hurricanes, tsunami, volcanoes erupting, fish begin to disappear, and birds fall out of the sky. Many such more examples. We'll see such things as well. These are signs from all directions that nature is telling us, beware. we're beginning to bring the world out of balance. There are such signs that Earth can flip over, its polars can just switch.
Opposite polars, yeah. Okay, so what is the first step towards balance? The most immediate step that we can do?
Awareness that each and every one in the world, as many people as possible, will know that we influence our world highly. It's a mutual house for all of us, and that we need to take care of it. And this is especially for developed countries, because in Africa, for example, to what extent can they already violate the laws of nature? But especially in America, Europe, Russia, in those countries, they especially are
You mean
in a
where
state.
the ego is evolved? Where
Yes, where the ego is evolved. And that is why the development of the education, this new global education, is completely necessary now. We must, through UNESCO, through the UN or different organizations, we have to influence the world in such a way. We have to teach people the facts. The facts. There's no opinion to here or to there if it's worthwhile or not. A fact that we're all mutually connected, and if we won't start taking each other into consideration, we're going to lead ourselves towards extermination.
Okay, so awareness and this education to the global reality. Let's go on to something different. This is a question that is coming from Frost. He's from San Francisco, and it's a video question, so let's watch it.
Hi, my name is Frost, and I'm from San Francisco, and you know, being out here as a street kid and everything, I noticed one of the things a lot of people do is they get the whole bystander effect thing. They sit there and they see what's going on, even stop and talk about it, but they never actually take action. And it always leads me back to the same question about apathy. Why does everybody think, oh, somebody else will do something?
Well, a person, according to his nature, his ego, he's, one, lazy, because he's always drawn to rest. Like all matter, still vegetative, animate, it's always drawn towards rest. We do everything only if we see self-benefit out of it, a very clear self-benefit, as big as possible, as close as possible, as approachable as possible, and accordingly then we'll act in order to reach this profit. But if I don't have this certain pleasure that I can reach, that I can attain, then I prevent from doing the action. And that's how each and every one of us, we're like a machine, that if it feels that it has a certain profit, then it acts. And if it does not have a profit, it does not act. It all depends on the extent we see profit and how much effort we have to invest in order to reach it. That's why there are many people who see these different phenomena in the world, and there are those who are completely concerned about it, like this young lad, and they ask, how is it possible that others aren't like me? Others look at it in a way that, well, I don't care about it. If you care, do something. Maybe if you'll talk to us, we'll feel like you do, but in the meantime, we don't. So that's how it is in the world. And besides, we need to understand that the world is divided in such a way that the people that truly care about all these things, meaning things that are above food, sex, family, education, honor, power, people who care about higher things, they care about humanity, they care about freedom, freedom of choice, all these sublime matters. These are very few in the human society.
Right. Usually it's either world leaders, usually, or artists, or philosophers, or
I wouldn't really say the leaders of the world care about humanity.
Well, that's what they say.
They care only about themselves. They say, yeah, they do, but they care about themselves only. That's clear. It's obvious. Those who care about humanity, they usually don't run to be the leaders. Because to be a leader, you have to sell yourself. You have to change your opinion 1,000 times a day, all according to the environment and all according to the goal you want to reach. And you actually remain with no opinion whatsoever. And we see how politicians always change their mind. We also have to discern what is truth and what is not. But those people that really care, they're very few. It's only, say, philosophers, scientists could be, educators. Throughout history, there weren't many such people. Sometimes we see them. So, it's impossible that those who do care about all these things in the public, in the society, then they can't demand that same subtleness, that same sensitivity from the wide audiences. Since the wide audience is like the still, they can't react to it. It's like this pyramid that the great ones, those subtle, those sensitive ones, there are few, they're at the tip of the pyramid, yep. All the rest are just the masses, the common people. Not that I treat them with disregard, but they're not as sensitive to the needs of the general, of the public. That's why we need, again, education. We're returning to that same problem. We have to educate humanity that they're all connected, they're all dependent, global. That is why there is no choice. We have to explain to each and every one that in their thin little ego, where he is at home, at work, in bringing up his children, at the bank, or all other places that he's at, in his day-to-day life, there will be problems and trouble if he won't be concerned and take care of the general world. That is what we need to explain.
The first part is already there. Troubles are already coming in different aspects of life. The second part, knowing that it has to do with my connection to the global systems.
We have to show it to everyone. We have to make clips about it and films and explanations, and we have to show them how one thing depends on the other. It seems to me that for my individual life, I have my job, my office, my university, my bank, my children, school, and so on and so forth. And that's enough. I get by. It's not enough. It's not enough. Today, if I won't take care, in my thought, by thinking about it, not in doing, not in acting, because as a regular citizen I can't act. But if we'll know that we're all connected to each other, that we all have to be concerned with the well-being of the world, then we'll reach the opposite state.
Okay, we'll have to wrap up. We have 1 minute left. I would like to remind to our viewers, just before we conclude, that you can send more questions, and thank you very much, Dr. Laitman, for answering all of them. You can send more on tv.kabbalah.info. Go to our Ask the Kabbalist page, and you can send a video question or an audio question, text question, anytime, whenever you want, about whatever you want. And we'll be here answering all your questions in the next show as well. Again, thank you, Dr. Laitman. Thank you, all the viewers, for coming, for watching. We'll see you next time. All the best.